from what a lot of people are sitting here and they're probably not very happy right now, is every single market heading into the weekend, on the weekend, is basically collapsed. We had historic liquidations across the board. We've had, and I haven't looked at the updated numbers, but I know as of this morning, there was $73 million that was liquidated out of XRP, but a $1 billion shift in the books, which basically reset the books at certain levels. It's pretty insane. But a $73 million liquidation when it comes to retail traders who are leverage trading, gambling, trying to get ahead. It actually pains me because for a couple of days, people were in here as I'm begging you to not only be liquid, but now people are taking out longs in my community that are watching me in the lives and leverage and telling me what their liquidation prices are. And there was more than 3 or 4 asking if they thought they were safe. And I said, no, you are not. Like, why on God's green earth? Maybe it's blue. Maybe the earth is blue on the ground. There is blue grass. But people ask, like, there's not any kind of evidence to back this up. Like, that charting doesn't matter. That we don't get signals. Like, hello? We get very clear signals. Okay, some people act like when we were doing this is how much of a warning we had, right? In reality, we had this much of a warning. There was so much of a warning. Where do we end? You know, so that was kind of loud. But there was a big warning. But we'll get into all of this in a second and all of the details of where we're going. This would be the triple bottom. And the problem is if we break this, we go to places that we could never hit again, according to all the experts. Good morning. 10:31 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Saturday, January 31st, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So when I was about to start the live, I seen that there was like 22 people waiting. I'm like, wow, that's the most people that have been there in a while waiting. But it goes with the normal omen. When things are dropping out of control, let's watch Tom. When things are pumping out of control, let's watch Tom. When things are about to break down, let's avoid Tom because we don't want to hear that the breakdown's coming. It's a unique situation we deal with. But in the end, there's a lesson to be taught each and every day, not just for us, but for any investor out there. So we're just fortunate enough to be able to see each other right now. The biggest problem here is this has created a perpetual descending triangle. Doesn't matter to me what anybody else thinks. That's what actually formed. And this is on a certain chart. This is also the chart that if we wanted to say that this was in some kind of bullish channel, some kind of bullish flag, if you want to assert it, that you would have to keep that $1.56. And it makes a lot of sense, and I mean a lot of sense, to test this area, whether we're bullish or bearish. It makes a lot of sense here. I mean, we've got $1.56 when we created that downward channel, and that's in the weekly perspective. We've got the better version here, in my opinion, not this one. Oh, yeah, it is this one, because this is where if it breaks out, it shows us the back test of the $1.80 or the 84 cents. That's sub $1 if this falls out. A couple people sent me messages the last couple of days decoding my positioning, and they said, Tom, I know you don't hold XRP right now based on what you said about the resistance if it got rejected in that descending triangle. And I said, well, you know, that's your own observation, and I put it out there what I was doing in this pattern rotation and what I was going to do. So it's not a secret if you've been watching that I am very liquid. But I am not a financial advisor, and I don't want to make the decision for you, but I can continue to sound the alarm, you know. And just like with the miners, 2 days before that drop, I came out and I said I'm very liquid, and we already had taken profits on the way up at the end because I had bought in a long time ago in January of 25. Anyhow. And then the next day it had dropped and everything recovered to a gain. And I said that I just sold the last of my B2 gold. I was on the air. And I said, this is it. This is capitulation, and that's it. And the warning signal, if you guys ever need a warning signal, just remember, When you've rode something for a long time and the people that you are trying to tell to buy the entire time up, silver, gold, before the breakout, miners, and then they get to a perpetual level where it's just that parabolic, unbelievable, nothing can go wrong. 99% of people who own it are in the money. That is the time to exit, just like with crypto in January of 25. Sure, you got another push up in April or May. Most things didn't even come up high enough. At least XRP gave you a clear double top. But those are the signals we need. Remember, everybody, hey, I told the story. I used to go up to the gas station. I remember I told Julie this in 23. I walked up to this gas station. I wrote this guy a list out because he was struggling, and he's a good guy. I still go get Julie's smokes from him every single week, once a week. And I wrote a list out, and I said, buy XRP, and it was at 34 cents when I bought it. I showed him my model, and I said, you can buy it anywhere under 50 cents. I'm like, it's probably going to hit again under 40, and I wrote it out for him. And it did end up, if he would have waited until 24. I wrote out XRP. I wrote out H-bar. I wrote out XDC. Oh, no, not XDC, because he said he didn't have, he only had Robinhood. So I wrote out H-bar. I wrote out XRP. Which other one was on Robinhood? He had one other one. Oh, Bitcoin, because he was a big proponent of Bitcoin. That's the one he kept talking about. And I wrote Bitcoin. And I told him, as long as you bought it, and I feel stupid because I said, as long as you buy it under 30,000, you're fine. And I wrote it out for him. And it ended up going to like 16. But when he talked to me, it was already on the upturn. But so fast forward from 23 until November of 25 is when everything changed. That happened. December happens. Now we're in the mid to late December after Christmas. I go into the gas station, and you won't believe it. This guy acted like he never talked to me about crypto. He's like, hey, have you heard about this Bitcoin? He's like, it was at like 116 or 112, whatever it was at when it went to from 112 to 95 or whatever, 90, 80, whatever. And then it went to 126. When it was on that move, he's like, hey, you might need to buy Bitcoin. I'm like, Bitcoin? That pile of shit? I'm like, Bitcoin, don't you remember what I told you to buy before? I'm like, you remember XRP? When it was at 40 cents when I was in here in 23, and I'm like, you got to buy this? I'm like, do you see what that's at? You're talking about Bitcoin. XRP's at $3.30 right now. And he's like, he didn't even budge. He didn't say nothing. He's just like, oh, well, the Bitcoin, it's going to $1 million. I got to buy it. And he's like, I bought some at 100. And I'm like, oh my God. And I came on there and I said, I'm out. I said the local shoe shiner, in my case was the gas station attendee, said that I need to buy crypto. And when I'm the expert, and whether or not we want to acknowledge it or not, I do this every single day since January or March 24th of 2021. And I do it from a side of analysis, technical analysis, market analysis, the economy, all of the stuff that matters. And I think I'm one of the foremost experts, self-taught, but you can't argue. In our community, we bought the bottom in 21. We sold the right shoulder, right arm in 21. On the top. We bought back in the bottom of 23. We sold the top of 25. We bought the bottom of the miners in 25. We sold the top in 26. We bought the bottom of gold and silver in 22. And we hold precious metals, so there's no selling out of a precious metal. That's a sin. The only movement you should have is silver into gold if you want to, the ratio gets to a certain spot. But we have a history here, and damn it, we're going to keep doing it. It's just a matter of if you want to listen. And I'm not a financial advisor. This is just all historical data that is playing into my favor when I meet the man upstairs and say, you gave me a gift. I don't know why. I knew I had a gift when I was younger. Everything I see differently. Maybe I am a bit autistic or a bit slower than everybody else, but my mind, being a little slower, I can absorb things. It moves faster than everybody else. I know that. But as far as like caring about other things that people care about, I couldn't care less about certain things unless it benefits all of us. Like, it's got to be a perpetual loop of some sort. So, you can elevate your learning if you want to take the classes. They start Monday. It's $49.99 a month. There's a link in this live. But the info I give you every single day doesn't change. I'm going to be here like a psycho. You're just going to get an extra 8 hours of me a month in a classroom setting from Zoom, but you get to watch it on YouTube, where we go outside the charts and you try to figure it out from here. Because if you can't get this right, this is emotion, this is heart, this is your brain, this is what gets you in trouble if you listen to it too much. The brain has to be locked into the emotion, and they've got to be even keel. Otherwise, you're screwed. You know how many people told me when I was at $1.70 or $1.80 that this is the true support and it can never break? Didn't we just have an October 10th historic liquidation where it didn't even honor it at all? So how can we say it didn't break? It never has, won't do, can't do. 4-year trend line broke on Bitcoin. 4-year Ethereum line broke on Ethereum, or a little bit longer. So everybody says the cycle's dead. Is it? Is it? Is it? I always ask, is it? Or is this just what we are? The 55% trap. Are you trading or just funding a billionaire's exit? And this is the crowd. Buy the dip. Exit. Blah, blah, blah. Feeding and draining. They're absorbing our money. We're giving them the money. No. Ness. They want you to say that. They want you to sell. No, they want you to buy in the wrong spot. Listen. There's such a thing as, hey guys, you bought at 35 cents and we made 10x. There's such a thing as acknowledging that 100% of the people that owned XRP were in the money. Even the people who bought in and were under the money for 7 years. It took them 7 years. Now, I've always said that there was going to be an exit liquidity pump for the regulations coming into play. Is it possible that this was the exit pump for institutions? As we rewrite history and reset history? I'm starting to think it is. And I've said it before and I said it again. I don't care if it's XRP. I don't care if it's XDC. I don't care if it's my miners, gold and silver. They're lucky because they're physical metals and that's sound money. And I will never give up a single ounce because they're getting harder and harder to acquire. Never have sold a single ounce of it. So, is it possible that they just absorbed all of retail and then when the right time to come back after exorbitant gains? Like I had an awe-inspiring moment on Friday because I shared a dream about the miners. Had I not sold the way I did and acknowledged what was happening, on Friday I would have been down $34,000 in my portfolio. I would have went from $116,000, which is safe because it's all out. And I would have been sitting there at $82,000. And yeah, I might have started with 48 or 46 or whatever it was. And I would still be double. But I would have literally gave back $34,000 in one day. It was my exact dream. Does anybody remember my dream? That's the wrong. You bought XRP at $1. This is cheap. How is it cheap? If it holds, but you need to see if this actually holds. If this doesn't hold, my friend, this ain't cheap. I'm not the one telling the pattern to do this. In fact, I want it to reverse and tell me that we're going bullish. But right now, that's not the case. You had a historic flush in gold and silver where you had $3.4 trillion move and crypto dumped. That money had to find yield. And I had speculated that it found a lot of yield in natural gas. Everybody asked where. I think natural gas is where it was exiting to the last couple of days. Natural gas was up like 40-something%. Seems logical to me. I think it seeked out natural gas, and I'm almost mad at myself that I didn't seek it out first. Oh, yeah. And we're making homemade chicken soup. It's going to be so good. And it takes all day to cook, too. Oh, Luke, me and you both, brother. Me and you both, and we're going to be doing it together, my friend. So what we're looking, I'm sorry, I just wanted to zero in on this. And if you guys aren't on my Facebook page, please join Facebook. I had a viral video that had 1 million views. And if you are on Facebook, don't buy views because you don't get paid for them. And I see a bunch of people with a bunch of views and then they share their screenshots, but they get like 30 cents. Really, you get $100 per 1 million views on Facebook. I just got monetized 2 days ago, but I had a video that went, or a post that went 1 million views. And it was about the liquidity. And like, I had 721,000 views yesterday. It's going to go down after this video stops going viral because the one video has 1 million. Fucking ridiculous. But follow me. There's a lot of different stuff. $132, but that's only because of the viral video. Went over 12,000. 20 people have followed today. But there is a lot of information if you want to stay in tune with what I do. Like, I shared some stuff. There's some stuff about the XRP ledger. Moved to number 4 with real world asset blockchain in the world. It's got the tokenized gold and commodities, institutional lending protocols. It even offers carbon credits, but it passed Ethereum and Polygon. Not Ethereum overall in size, but it passed it in this recent. We had 1 billion XRP flush. Was that a market manipulation or necessary flush? And there was 73 million liquidated in 24 hours, 98% longs. So yeah, this might be more satire and conspiracy, but it's all, there's truth. It's true. It's just I can talk different and not offend. We had the quiet institutional takeover. If you want to learn about the partnerships, I do it in a strategic way, get people's attention through the photos. And not everything, there's XDC stuff, not everything gets seen. You know, some things don't get pushed around as much. This one got a lot more attention. The one that got the most attention, and it's crazy, is, and then I'm going to go back to what we need to do. And I didn't even know this one was going to get the attention it did, because I was updating as it went along with the liquidations, but one of them, it was probably, oh man, there's so much good information here if you guys are on Facebook. I share so much shit. But we got to get into this one. This is the one that got over 1 million views. It's at 824 likes, 288 shares, 545 comments. And it's going ballistic is what's happening. And I just did this on Thursday. Ironically, this is probably the post why they monetized me, because it had like 150,000 views in a few hours. But anyhow, it's another way to watch my stuff and get more in the loop. So if you want to know what's happening, basically we went through a few different levels. We had this, we didn't think this was going to hold, but they all open up a problem. If this is a descend, like what it looked like to me is these were building bearish pennants. You can call it whatever you want, but when it comes in like that, it's a bearish pennant. Like we can argue it all we want until the sun comes home. If it was up, and it looks like a bearish, a descending wedge, but that's just a bearish pattern consolidation. It looked like, and it looks like a right shoulder if it plays through. Now it could always come back up above $1.69 and just have a wick. But if this plays through, this is telling us the technical target out of this drop is actually to $1.21. Well, that means that we would, in fact, go through the first area, which was $1.68-ish. All right, let's go to that chart. Okay, $1.56, so you can see just, there's a lot of different areas right there. I got to get to the one chart. Oh, yeah, this is the $1.69 chart we broke through. The first chart had a setup like this, and we fell out the beginning at $1.77. Then the next area, remember, was the $1.68. It didn't honor it, fell through. Now we have the $1.56. If that doesn't hold through between $1.56 and 58, we're going to have some problems. However, that is a legitimate triple bottom there if it holds. And on at least some of the charts, you have a liquidity flush from that historic liquidation on October 10th. But I don't see any volume, guys. To have this much money just sitting on the sidelines from exiting positions in metals or, well, people got slaughtered. Let's just call it for. But $1.21, isn't it ironic that it sends us right down to this bottom? And this is, I would be happier if it came down into this range and filled out that exit wick, because that's more legitimate of what actually happened on October 10th. That's a more legitimate wick. And then if we look at this at whole scale, it'll actually do us better, because you want to look at it for where it's actually going to drop. I mean, look at that. This would be perfect. Watch this. This would be a perfect double bottom if it would hold. But then being down here, I would fear not a double bottom, but it's a lower bottom. So you have $1.19, you flush to $1.14. My issue is it looks like a whole pattern reset. Now, it doesn't have to be, because I can show you something that'll get our jollies up a little bit, but it's still, you're talking about a pretty substantial move down here still, even if this played out. This is what I was messing with on my phone yesterday, just to see these wicks, because I'm like, if it's just coming down here like this, well, Tom, if it's just coming down here, buddy, how's it going to go? And then I go, well, We might not want to acknowledge it, but what area does this send us in? 92 cents. What else is around that area? I can't remember. Oh, yeah. What have we not back tested? What have we not? And let's forget about 84 cents. Let's do it in a quicker sense. 86. So we haven't back tested this. And what's the significance of that area? And I love going through this with everybody. So if you're watching this, make sure that like button is not even half of you have. 45% maybe have hit this. Maybe have hit that like button. If anything, if you appreciate this content, hit that like button and share it. At least hit the like button so that others like you and I can see this and they don't get trapped. Or they don't buy when they're not supposed to. They don't buy into the hype and FOMO and fear and all this other trash that people put in front of us. The truth is, we had a 7-year consolidation starting in January of 18. Took until November of 24. This is the heightened pattern zoomed out. Where we don't have to go back there. Where we can just go from this segment. This is the hyper pattern. And the reason you want to do this is because it builds an apex. The apex was here, which tells us we could be in this mess and hold here for quite some time. I don't think, oh man, that would suck. That would mean if it took until 27, we had a breakdown. And then for midterms, our push back up. Maybe it even came down to here. This is my fear, that it would come all the way back down here. And this is just going to be a topping reversal. And I don't even want to show you what that means if it's a topping reversal. Like to the extreme. So these levels make sense. This makes sense. So the breakout November, this was our technical move. And then we had the heightened move, but it has to get on top of there. It filled out the technical target. But if you wanted to extend it and had the logical target, if this wasn't a fake out, because technically we've said it for years, when it breaks out, and this is the one we were going based off of for a long time. And I just deleted a lot of stuff now, but or no, I used the other one, updated, and I recreated it on this one so you can see it overall. If it's early, this breakout, that means that this is just early. If it comes back down, yes, this actual back test, if it, like, this is my fear. Because the other one gets us to 85, which is fine. But logically, I mean, this tells me 48 cents. And you know what's scary about that? What was the level we were at right before the breakout that we have never back tested? That we just shot right through and never came back? That's like that 48 to 52 zone. So I'm scared to death that if we look at it like this, that XRP is actually going to come right back inside of this. Because the other one, we have this heightened up. You know, this isn't the wick like this, but we actually use this one a little different to form the proper pattern. You know, maybe it's like this, and we just go through the body and do the same thing. But that shows you, like, we got to be very freaking careful here because there's levels here that could really sneak up on us. And I'm not afraid to acknowledge it. Look at the weekly. We talked about it before. When it came up to mid-tier, there was no volume. That was showing exhaustion. You're not just going to go to overbought when there's no interest. It's much easier to find sellers. And all that did was created a much bigger bottom by coming up like that. It really did. There's no momentum. There was no reason for us to go up like that. The only reason there was just to try. It's almost like they incinerated us on purpose. The incineration. No, not 10x from $1. Because what if it goes to the projected target at 84 cents? You're already liquidated. No, don't do that. Cannabis Podcast, I love you too much to just, you know, put your nuts on the table and let them sledgehammer you. You know, at least be warned that you're going to be, you know, at best, with an artificial nut or two. You know, I don't want you to go through that. Mike Doc Smells, good morning. Tom always gets me all hot and bothered with these YouTube movies. Oh, I love it. What can I say? I haven't even done my morning flex yet, and you're already hot and bothered. But it was a good week. It's we're building every single week, so we'll see where we're at in the summertime. But it's been like over 3.5 years now, so we're getting somewhere. Joseph Euler, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge, along with Crypto Cruder, very trusted mod. The Cannabis Podcast has a new episode out. Go watch it on YouTube if you're interested in the herbal healings. Let's see who else was 1 year. Thought I seen one other person. Maybe not. Maybe not. Oh, it's all an illusion is 1+ year in Tom's Army. John Bugathorpe over 1 year. Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Okay. Let's get back down here. And thank you to the members of Tom's Army as they are each individually sponsoring this ad-free program during these lives. Until it's on rerun, there are no live commercials, which I often forget to turn it on even in the rerun because I don't care for advertising. But thanks to the members, they sponsor this program. So everybody you see with the badge next to their name, I thank you. I really do for sponsoring what I do and believing in me from the core. Who needs an outside sponsor when you have Tom's Army? Right? For us, by us. Together. And Joseph Euler, thanks for that gifted sub. And it went to Paulus Maximus. Second month with the Dusty Dot House Crypto News. Don't forget to thank Mr. Euler. And then the Cannabis Podcast gifted a sub as well and is in Tom's Army for over 1 year. Again, don't forget to go watch their new episode. One XRP Future Millionaire gifted sub, and that goes to Summertime. What a great person to go to. Summertime's been in here for some time. Second month as well with the Dusty House Crypto News. Carl, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with Mark Casson. Sorry for anybody I missed way in the above, but I don't have time to go back. Self-awareness and MQ, thanks for being in Tom's Army 3+ months with the XP Meteor. MQ and Define, thanks for being very trusted mods in my community. Define 6+ months with the XP Predictor. Yeah, 12 months it'll upgrade your badge to the I told you so badge. I think you're 11 months. You can share it in the chat and it'll tell you. You can hit the button. Here, I'll show you what it looks like. Oh, wait a minute. Julie's not a member of Tom's Army anymore. I forgot. Let's see. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. But does everybody understand what we're talking about for the possibilities for XRP? We can go into Bitcoin. We can look at a lot of other things. But we have to understand at least, you know, what we're looking at in front of us. So I hope everybody does understand. I hope we're on the right page. I hope I'm putting this across in an appropriate way so everybody understands. I'll take a look at the comments just to make sure. There we go, like Crypto Cooter did. Crypto Cooter is now 1 year in Tom's Army and is in the live classes membership. So he will be part of the live classes. That is awesome. And thank you for being over 1 year, Mr. Cooter. Love it. March lunar eclipse. That's probably going to be a better area for crypto, but who knows? Their Fed chairman pick. I hate to say it, and I talked about it yesterday. And John Bugathorpe, I understand your hate with AI, and I agree because it lies a lot. But the whole point was just to give everybody an insight when I did that. I fact-checked this guy. He is very pro-digital dollar. He's very pro-banking. He's very pro having a digital, not necessarily a chip, but it might be a ring. It might be a digital watch you wear. It might be just a digital something you put over your face. It's something. But they want to have digital. And that means that they don't want something like XRP to be the digital front, but XRP would be the digital landscape behind the scenes because it's going to be the overall liquidity. I'm telling you, like, don't forget that. The other thing is that he is very, 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 very anti-printing money, but at the same time doesn't mind lowering rates. So this guy is going to lower rates and do quantitative tightening. I don't know what that's going to mean, but that's not going to be good for risk if that actually happens. It's kind of like they say it's the write-off. Now, I think because they know they can't print any more money without going insanely oblivion here. But we also had our first bank fall in Chicago officially. It was a Chicago bank. So that's big news. I got to post that on my Facebook. That'll probably be the next article that I write with AI's help so that I can do the imagery and expand my view. He's absolutely part of the Bilderberg group. He was in the Clinton and Bush administrations in some capacity. He's just been in many different fronts in the government. He's got many connections in banking in the crypto sectors and things like that for what they want to do. Um, and the one thing I keep saying is that Clarity Act is the death to crypto. So you're watching crypto go away in real time. Michael Saylor is literally $2,700 from being underwater. That margin call is going to come quick if he gets down there, and it will. It will. If you think this is bad, if this continues, we're about to hit history where we're going to cut in half almost. Literally, we're going to cut in half. People said it couldn't be done. VeChain's down another 8.8% at 008. 008 for VeChain, which is supposed to be the head of the Internet of Things. Almost on the same playing field with IOTA. Speaking of the mainframe token, IOTA is sitting down another 5.7% at 7.3 cents. Algo's barely hanging on to a dime. We're talking a dime. A dime. This son of a bitch was $2.50 a couple years ago when XRP was sitting at 30 cents. We are in some weird... I told you XRP was the freaking deceiver coin. It made you think everything else had to come up here. And it was the deceiver coin. It made the run up so quick that everybody... Because, oh man, it's such a fucking pile of shit. The way they did this is a pile of shit. Not XRP, but the way they did this. Because the people in XRP and Ripple, they invested in both sides of the political realm. Which meant it didn't matter who won. They had to pay them out. We are, in fact, in every cycle, because retail never buys the bottom. I know it for a fact because I tried to beg retail the last 2 cycles and they laughed at me and started unfollowing. And then when I begged retail to stop buying crypto and sell, don't buy. I keep saying you're buying it's not a dip. XRP doesn't officially become a dip until it gets down lower than where it started. If we get down under $1, it's still not a dip. It's not. It's not a dip. It is not a dip. This is still not a dip. We started, and think about it, in 24 November, just 14 months ago even, 13 months ago, XRP was at 45 cents. It's at now you've got another group of people. They went 7 years that were trapped from 350 to 350. Now you got another group of people that are trapped from 360 all the way down, buying the dip. Hey, it's not at 360, it's at 320. I'm a genius. Now it's at 280. I'm even bigger. Now it's at 240. Now it's at 180. Wait a minute, I have no money left and I'm down 60 fucking percent. Well, how am I going to buy the dip? Exactly. Now we're getting on the right page. You can't buy the dip if you have no money left. Everybody, there was a lot of people that got on my case back when I made out this post and with what I did with my earnings and what I was doing with the transition and yada, 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 so on and so forth. But the longer we go, the better I look at that moment in time because nobody thought this at that time. Literally, I had to come on a couple days later to warn. But I literally switched our crypto profits, huge, not just profits, wholesale liquidations aside from XRP at the time for the most part. That was the 25% left. And we flipped into miners. And then what did we do? As much as I love miners, I talked about the prophecy. I had a dream. I've talked about it for weeks even. This is where we're going. You can't buy here because you're going to be part of a and I had a fear. I've had a fear. And I've had a fear. But now I've been better at doing this because I don't care anymore what people think. So I didn't care about losing 200 subscribers the other day, a week ago, because I started putting this. The crash coming. Red flag. The critical alert danger ahead. XRP crash warning, bear pennant that could take us to $1.58. Like literally putting this here, right when that part set up. And we talked about it before and faster and more and longer. And you have to keep going down because it's so risky and this and that. And people get so pissed off. And our Christmas rally was actually right. That was our rally that led us into the further doom. We talked about we could have a 3 to 4 week push. And then all of a sudden it's just going to come right back down further than it started. Had a 3 or 4 week push. I hate this. It can't be the dip to buy plant because we're not even at $1.56 or $1.58. So how are we going to know? That's why I said yesterday, everybody's talking about buying that $1.75. It's like for water, $1.68. Why? Even if you come down to the wick, you got to fill this out again. You're not coming all the way out here not to fill this artificial wick, but then that one's only on this exchange. We got so much room in the weekly that we got so much room to drop. We have a bearish cross. We haven't even come to the 200-day yet in the weekly, which is the next logical thing. But if we come down there, we make a lower low on this chart, completely validating the descending triangle. If it's a descending triangle, we have a drop down to 86. If it goes to 86, why stop there? Because that is one way to look at the back test. But then if you look at it on another chart and you actually look at it like this, it's like, oh, well, oh, shit. That's why I said I don't want to be exit liquidity, folks. I don't want to be exit liquidity. And that's why this, to me, is a very telling chart if you do it like this. And that's why I'm going to put it like this for the real time for all of us. That's why this chart is real. This is 94, or 92. Would you believe it if I said we have a gap from the breakout that I wanted to fill? Remember on the breakout, for anybody who was here in 24, I said, please just let us come back to 92. And I don't care if you weren't here, don't lie. But if you were actually there when for weeks I complained about it and people were getting sick of it, and I said, I know we're at $1.30 or $1.80, but that 92-cent gap, I just wish we would go down there before we go to all-time highs because now it's going to be lingering. Oh, I was devastated, you could say. And then it came down and filled it on this chart. Well, not quite, but it tried. It came down to $1.03. The only one it filled was on Binance. So this is still here. It's still open. So it was devastating to me because there was a big gap that was left at 92 or even lower. If you want to know the truth, what is fearful is that we end up coming back through like this, and then XRP's backfilling these lower gaps. We have never filled the 2020 gap at just about 10.2 cent roughly. Before I started on YouTube, when I started to want to buy XRP deeper, oh my God, guys, we have so many problems. Hey, the futures closed at $1.74. Could we have an opportunity like last weekend when it suddenly came up 10 cents? It's possible, but things are a little different this week, so I don't know. Let's see. I got to thank some people. Define. Hey, I'm 11 months. Join Tom's Army. I'm telling you, the understanding in this community of how this world works, you can't put a price tag on it. I totally agree. That's why if you want to bet on me and bet on what I'm trying to do, join Tom's Army at least for $9.99 a month. It's the simplest thing you could ever do. I put so much time into this. I don't know how much you'd have to pay if I was charging for all of this, and I don't want to think about that. But thank you, Define. Crypto Cruder said the new Fed chair regulations and how the last year and a half went makes me extremely cautious with crypto. Absolutely. Once they said Clarity Act, I said it's time for me to form my exit strategy. I talked about it last year. And I said when we get this big pump, I'm not waiting around. It can convince me to buy back in. They're not taking my money. I can't afford to give back $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. And miners, like I said, on Friday, I would have lost $32,000 had I have not made the gut decision to do what I did. And on Palantir, or on the platinum miner, PLG, remember we had a big run up, and then I bought back, and I said I only have it at a 2% stop loss, because if this goes bad, it's going to go, and I showed the targets, and then at $3.28 after buying it at $3.30, I didn't think it was going to come down there early in the morning that day. It filled it at $3.32, so I just put a stop at $3.28 because $3.30 was the pivot point. So it even tricked everybody and closed over it, but my position already was exited, as you know, on the live when it closed. And then it ended up coming down 20-something% after. Like, it's such, the way they do things, it's almost in code. It's almost in, not almost, it is in code, unfortunately. Dacker, thanks for the $19.99 super chat. Wow, very generous community this morning. Thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 2 years with the XP 589 Moon Badge. Says rent's due, car note due, and lots of bills like everyone else, but paying it forward, it's way overdue. Thanks for all you continue to do, Tom Benito. Hey, you're already in Tom's army. You already pay it forward. Don't overextend yourself. I never want anybody to overextend themselves. That's the truth. Like, bills come first, family comes first. You know? I appreciate that, though. And the message. But don't overextend yourself at my account. I do appreciate you, though. You've been around for a very long time. Jason Blackburn, thanks for being in town for 3+ months with the XP Media. They're just bleeding us. I had a bad feeling I should have sold out about 6 months ago and ran. Yeah, you know, that's the problem. Well, when we go back to a back currency, they can't just print money. True. I mean, well, in a digital sense, though, if they go digital, it's not going to be like the normal printing. And this is, they can just use blocks. They can use artificial liquidity, like something with a lot of liquidity like XRP, but not show it in the actual price. I've said it for years. They have 100 billion tokens for a reason, not because they're putting the price to $5,000. If they wanted to have a high price tag, they'd have a 500 million tokens. And then they wouldn't be able to stretch it. But the whole point is to stretch liquidity. You want to be able to move it at microscopic levels. I've been saying this for a long time. That's why $10 to $20 would be a dream. That's why this drop could be an even bigger dream for me, because if it goes down far enough, this time around, instead of 10,000 tokens, I'm going to have like 30, 40, 50,000 XRP if it gives me the chance. I'm dead serious. If it goes down far enough, I'm going to load the boat. It's going to be the triple X Haas strategy, XRP, XLM, XDC, HBAR, Algo. And then VeChain will be part of that, so it might go a little overboard, you know. But I'm going to be targeting the ones that I know. When it gets to there, it's going to be explosive. And I've been watching the plus minus levels of every single movement. Like, I now know on the miners, the 3 big ones to take if we get a big correction still. You want to get Hecla. You want to get Kenross. You want to get First Majestic. You want to get, like, Newmont. You want to get Pan America Silver, because those were the 5 biggest movers. And I'm going to go with the... And B2 Gold underperformed. Even though it made us 100 and something, it still underperformed. Some of the other ones made 6. That's underperforming. So you look at the ones with the wider movement, with the wider books. And then you have B2 Gold as a hedge for, you know, the micro movements. Even though it can get an explosive. Bam! Nobody cares about that. They're all going to leave. John Bugathorpe, thanks for the $5 super chat. Said... and thanks for being in town for over 1 year. I told you so bad. So Tom, you often say don't sell the first drop. Are you expecting a rebound before more drops? What is your near-term micro view, including alts? Ooh, I like it. I do expect a bounce at every positioning. The problem is we came below one area, and now the bounce up, we have to see if it does return. We might just come down to the 200-day, though. Now that we're breaking this bit of support here, we could come right down to the 200-day, but obviously... what could happen, and I don't want to act like it can't, because this is probably how they would do it. If it was me, this is what I would probably do. What the hell just hit the window? Something just hit my window. I think a squirrel. I think they want food. That's so funny. So what I think is building, if there's going to be a back test, ooh, I want to go to the right chart because it would be easier to show you on the other chart. Let me see. Is if we come down, maybe... Actually, you know what? No, let's go to this chart. Sorry. No, don't go back down. Maybe we come down here, either $1.58 or 6, and then we have that $1.68 that we could try to back test. I don't think it would come back. Well, maybe $1.75, only because that would be where the futures open could be. So if we held this, you'd have to hold $1.56 to $1.58. And then, yeah, the logical thing, Mr. Bugathorpe, would be a retest. However, we're still pretty far away from the weekly 200 support. So it is a bit of a caveat here. Because we have it's a bit of a caveat because of what's going on. But yeah, $1.56 to $1.58. And then you would be able to be like, okay, this is where it will bounce. But we'll know. We'll know because it'll hold that exact area. So let's just see what happens. We got about 4 to 6 cents here. to figure it out. I would expect it to come down there unless we see some kind of volume reversal. Let's see, because we're down 6%. See if any volume has switched hands, like green. No, nothing. Minute. Can't even find volume. Even when it had a potential pullback candle, look at the difference. So what you want to see for continuation, see that sellout candle was 1.72 million. Now on the potential pullback reversal that could have been setting up, not even half of the volume. That's consistent with there's no buyers. Now this candle with more sellers, we'll see in 15 minutes in the 45 what happens, or if this ends up trying to be a squeeze again. But if it squeezes, we have to see if the volume goes up at all. Right now, the squeeze candles, after this wick down, even the two candles combined right now haven't even equaled half of it. Barely. It hasn't even equaled half. And we're talking about two 45-minute candles, 8.76. Yeah, it's about half. That's 50% the volume of the drop candle on these two consolidatory candles trying to at least hold serve. And you can see it because you had a minor wick pullback. You had a wick, then back down, wick, back down, wick. There's no top end pressure on these candles yet. This is still very bearish unless it shows us something. First sign that maybe it's trying because you had it down. Now, if we don't make a lower low here, maybe in the micro, we're trying to make higher lows, but it looks horrendous right now. It just doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. No one wants to talk about Canton or Dag. It's not that I don't want to talk about it. What the hell is the point? I'm talking about the real guys right now. And then if we want to teabag with Dag later, we can. But there's no reason to drag its nuts across the table when it's going to fall harder than the rest anyhow. I'd rather not see it. Do an unbiased representation of it at the bottom. Because we've got the guiding stone here. We got 3 guiding stones that nobody even cares about. We got XDC, which is out ahead. We've got XRP, which is the new tier frontier. And then you've got Bitcoin. Old glory. Old shitstone. So, I don't need to look at that. That's not true, Adrian. What are you talking about? I set exactly my parameters. If you bought XDC when I bought it, I laid don't even play that shitstorm game with me. I'm not going there. That's very disrespectful. And you're not taking the proper approach to trading. My number one rule is I'm not a financial advisor, but every single move I made with XDC, I didn't say I told you so today. I didn't say, hey guys, I told you so. It was actually quite the freaking opposite. The fact you came to that conclusion is kind of disheartening, sir. But we talked about every single opportunity here where we were riding XDC, where we would ride XDC. And then if it invalidated, we talked about it, what you should do. We talked about this until we're blue in the face. That's very disrespectful, actually. You're not even owning your own nuts. You're slapping me in the face with them, in fact, for what? You have no accountability. Why are you trading? That's the number. You need to join the classes so that you don't get caught up in this bullshit. I guess I should keep reading, huh? I agree. Happy Fox. I'm not talking about me. I just... Oh, Adrian. Who don't know this? Oh, but the people who don't know misunderstand. I see. Oh, I didn't just say $1.54. Not that we could drop. I was warning that we were dropping there. Been saying we're in a bear. I see what Adrian's saying. That's true. But you know, that's the problem though. I'm not a financial advisor, so if I do something, you know, I can only speak of what I'm doing in the moment, and then you got to keep watching. Like, I don't know what to say about that, to be honest. If somebody's new, you know, I mean, where's the conviction? But this could be, remember what we said in the 45 just now, that if it's trying to do a reversal, we'll see right now, but we want to see some volume come in. Little bit of volume came in the last couple of minutes, I feel like. 5 minute, yeah. The 5 minute has a green candle, 322,000. It's about a 5x, 6x spike right there in the 5 minute of green. But now we need to see if it holds. If this does, we would end up back testing right now. Maybe it does come back to $1.75, or actually $1.68 would be more logical if it comes back up. Mrs. Stott, thanks for being in town during 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. I really appreciate that. What's the question? I don't know. People are mad because I swing trade and then they couldn't get out in time if they weren't following what I do. But I made it very clear what I was doing when I was doing it. And even when I bought into XDC that last time, as I was buying it, I said it told me to buy here, but if it gets rejected here, I'm selling it. And then unless it tells me to buy back, I'm going to wait for it to go to 2.8 cents. I'm not exact, or 2.4 or 3. I don't know. That's why I don't like to talk about the swing trades a lot. That's why I went more to the approach of I need to speak more in code about my own positions. Because I'm not going to leave it up for interpretation for somebody to be like, I'm only buying because you bought. It's like, no, this is my strategy. And if you're watching every single live or my content, people are like, I can't watch every live. So how are you going to trade like me? That's the question of all questions, Kenny. If XRP, and I believe if we can get any kind of pullback here, I mean, we have the gap at about $1.75 from Friday. And the pattern that we initially fell out of after this part right here, that we could back test would be right here. And that'd be about $1.69, which would be appropriate to see where we stand and clear out a little bit of short-term movement. But if we don't get any kind of movement here, the next step would be down to $1.56. It's speculative. You could say $1.54. This chart shows more like $1.58. This one, however, where's it at? It shows $1.56. The one that I'm really looking at here. This is the descending triangle one. That's $1.56. So right now it's either we come back up and try to test the $1.69 with the 5 minute spike in volume, which if we're going to do it, we got to do it somewhere. So there's a nice 5 minute spike. So that could be a spot. Why is it moving differently? Well, let's take a look. It could either telling us a reversal is coming or that it could tell you that there's a reversal coming in the near term into the rest of the market, which at some point there's going to have to be. But let's see. DAG was so beaten up already. That's the thing. Like DAG was so far beat here. Let's do this from here because we have the whole setup now. It broke back out of this little consolidation. Let's see the volume. No volume. 4 hourly is pushing down. Daily is overbought. There's no real reason to say. But I mean, is it really moving that much? I know it's come down from 008. But man, oh man, Lord have mercy. It's not doing much. Remember on the October 10th flush, most of them haven't even got back to the flush, have they? So is it doing worse? I mean, is it doing better or is it doing way worse? Most of them were still trying to hunt that October 10th liquidation. DAG not only hunted it, even with the current movement, DAG came down another 40% from the October 10th flush. So, no, it's not doing different. It just dumped out. So, it's already overzealously pushed this down. What we're dealing with our market is a double top. Look at this. This is way ahead. It's not that it's doing the opposite. It's that it's way ahead. Here's the double top XRP was on. Now the shoulder we're consolidating out of, and it dumped. And it even made a newer low from the October 10th historic liquidation. Not only is this ahead, this is crazy. This is If that's what's happening, we're 45% overvalued at best in what we're holding. So yeah, that's ahead of these drops. And now it's trying to reverse, so maybe that's a guiding stone. And then Canton. Is that what you said? That's the Canton network. I think that's the CC one. I'm almost positive because I remember talking about this before. And Canton, well, that's an inverse pattern. That's just different. Is that a newer token? Yeah, this is newer. That's why. This has no history yet. So you can't even... When was Canton Network released? Honestly, when was it released? Because now if it's only that new, it's apples to apples. I mean, that's not even... That's an apples to... Yeah, this apples to oranges comparison. This hasn't even been around, that's why. Yeah, that's why. You have the hype from the... It just got put out. That's different. That's no different than a meme coin coming out. We don't know yet. We have no baseline. I couldn't tell you why. This is... How many YouTubers hype this? I don't know. But I can tell you right now in the weekly, that volume came way down, and that is not a good sign. On the expanding price right here, you had volume increasing, see? You had... Right here. What the hell? Why does this stay up? Get off of here. 142 million, 190 million, 208 million. Now on this push up in the weekly, you had 70 million, and there's 1 day, 8 hours. So I mean, maybe it'll have a big breakup. I don't know, but this has no viability to the rest of the market. This is a new token, and they're using it as collateral right now while the rest of the market's dumping. I don't know how much viability it has because I don't know where it's going to go. It's just filling out what this technical move out of this was, but it's becoming rather overbought up. But yeah, this is completely different from the market, and so that debunks that this could be a relegate to tell us what's coming in the market. Even if we reverse, that can't be a good point of reference. I would say a better point of reference is the fact Bitmine fell 6% on Friday. And I think a big trap was set for MicroStrategy going up 4.5% on Friday. Ironic, right? And then with DAG, it's clearly way ahead of where these patterns are at. DAG is 45% down from the rest of it's 40% down. Even with the movement up in the last couple of days from that October 10th wick. So not only is that ahead, it came down an extra 45% compared to the rest of the market. At least that's my interpretation. Yeah, Linnea, I haven't even paid attention to until this drop was done. Because I kept talking about how we can't even get on the right side right now just because of the like 2 billion tokens they release every month. Not just one like XRP, but typically 2 billion. That's a lot of inflation. Elmer Fudd, thank you for not only being in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens, and that is my face superimposed on that emoji badge. But also the $10 super chat. Super generous audience this morning. We've been on for 58 minutes. Has it been 58 minutes already, Julie? Really? Is T still up? I mean, asleep? He's up? Oh. Oh, you did it while you were sleeping.
No.
Oh. Linnea was the biggest rug yet. Yes, it was. One of the biggest ones. One of the biggest ones. It gave us a little bit of run up, but then when it was time, it was time. That's why I a while ago went to that triple X half focus, because if we keep focusing on everything else, we're never going to get the real utility down. At least we know with XRP, it hits a major part of the system. We know XLM hits another major part of the system. XDC with the R3 quarter and so much more hits a major part of the system for what's coming. We know VeChain will hit a major part of the system. We know HBAR for privacy is the ace in the hole with XDC in this whole equation. But it's too expensive. You know, we were buying HBAR at 4 cents. That's why when it's at 12 cents, it's like, I'm sorry, but it's still 300% up or 200%. It's like, it's not, it's so different because if you know where the bottom was where it started, you know how to relegate a little bit. And then algo is being instituted in so many different parts of Africa. It's becoming a medium of exchange, much like the people in the U.S. are talking about XRP, but XRP is becoming a financial asset And it's been cleared now in Japan for this kind of thing. So once we get to where we're going, there's going to be some upward volatility. It's just, do we get the 10x move from 40 cents on XRP back to $4? Do we get a 5x move from 80 cents? Or like, are we going to talk about a 10x move from 30 cents? Like, what are we talking about here? Like, is Bitcoin going to be at 30, 40? Because Bitcoin technically, we haven't even covered this in this live. It's at 81,000, but the technical drop down out of that rising wedge is, the first part is 74,000, but technically, if you go from the widest gap, we could technically go all the way for a ride to 59,700. Well, what is in that area? Oh, well, how ironic is it that that's the back test of the cup and handle that we never back tested? Very clear head, shoulder, like a shoulder, head, shoulder even formed here. But we took the stairs up here, so we just took the elevator down here, that's all. But we took a step, an elevator, step, an elevator, elevator, down, step, step, elevator, step. Next move, elevator. Are we going for the elevator? The elevator is like a $10,000 drop in one day. We had 20,000 before. Can we go for 25? I don't know. Let's see. Old Vincenzo talking 30K Bitcoin and 1KX Ethereum. It's possible. My Ethereum target, if this all went to hell, and I've shown the lower targets, but I like to stay in okay, I can't show you how we get to $307, but I can show you the setups there kind of thing. So if Ethereum broke all the way down, you're looking at $1,600 in the current short, like in the more of the micro setup, even though it's a long-term setup. But in the micro view, you'd be looking at an invalidation, but you have to get below $2,000, $2,100 first to invalidate mostly this section. But if it comes all the way through, you're looking at 1,600. If this breaks and we're actually going down, the technical target there is $300, but that is not the floor. And the ironic part of that is that that's where we never back tested after a move up. We've never, ever, ever really come back down into this whole zone in a monthly, a weekly. It's kind of interesting how we just ignored this. We came down, up, down, back through, never even came back through here. So could you say 472? You know, is it going to be lower? I don't know. But yeah, I have some very low targets if this is actually a top and it doesn't recover when it comes down to the areas that it needs to recover. I've been saying that for weeks, Kenny. For weeks. Stay liquid. Let it happen. Months. For anybody who criticizes me, I told everybody to get out of this market unless you're swing trading it back in January of 25. So, you know. And yeah, if I swing something and get in and out, that's my own prerogative. I'm a trader, damn it. I watch this every single day. If you get offended by that and you want to follow along, I mean, I can only tell you so much. I have the charts out. I'm here 2-3 hours a day on YouTube. You know, so I don't know what else I could possibly do. Literally a day. I've not missed a single day since March 24th of 2021. It's like almost 1,800 days and counting. 1,700 plus. Yep, the bank failure in Chicago is huge. That's an article that I'm going to be putting out on Facebook. So I encourage you to join my Facebook page. Please help me keep growing that at the very least. That advertising revenue, even if it's $20 a day, if that's what it ends up building. I know I got a little overzealous push because I got a post that has over 1 million views in a day and a half, which is crazy. The crazier part is they would tell you not to post about something outside of XRP or crypto because of what I do. I posted about the gold and silver stuff, and that's what got the biggest hit, which is crazy. Although I did have an XRP post that same day that had like 240,000 views. So, Kenny, what are my targets for XRP and Quant to get back? I don't have a target to get back into anything. I don't know. I have no targets right now to get back in. I have to see how it reacts to certain areas and how the volume pickup is. That's the farthest thing from my mind right now. All I'm worried about right now is $1.56 to $1.58. See what happens there. And if that comes through, I know it's going to be a problem. We're basically on the cliff right now. Thank you, Mr. Kuda. Crypto Kuda says, I've been enjoying the Facebook post. It's a different side of me. Although there can be some satire in it, it's very much factual in almost everything I put out. I might put a little bit of a satire spin on some things for the reader, but I like to do that. Why don't I do silver videos? Because I like to add that kind of talk into my live. It's not that I don't want to do them. It's that I've been doing so much dedication in the lives, and I simply don't have time. Look at all the stuff I do. For the views that I was getting, it's not worth my time. It was costing me. It was costing me viewership. I very well could go back to it now after these big drops, but I would like to revisit a silver stacking series or the miner pickup series or the series on miner investing or something when it gets to where we need to go closer. So we'll be doing it more. Well, you don't need to sleep, do you? Not really, honestly. But a lot of times at night, I can't do a lot of content besides my Facebook stuff when I can write. Because my son's up with me, and he's nonverbal and autistic, but he's very noise sensitive, which is I'm shocked he's not out here right now. But he didn't go to bed until 5:30. He napped after school from like 4:30 to about 10. And then he's been getting up after that, and he wanted to stay up. I let Julie sleep. I did his feeding for the first time in a while. I hope I put the stuff back properly, Julie. Did his button look okay? I noticed he took off his thing that I put on his gauze. I know. Does silver and gold regain next week? That's a good question. It's a hell of a question. Down 26% to end the week. You would assume there would be some kind of blowback. The problem is that these patterns that have been built, it seems like we cleared out a lot, but that's a very dangerous closing pattern. It really is. That closed in a very dangerous spot. It's going to be very much engulfing to the downside to start the week. It's going to be pretty interesting to see how it starts on, unless we get a massive pullback on Monday, but it's going to start down. And the interesting thing, though, is it did not end in a new low from the week before at $80. So that's an interesting fact, but obviously that's a big pullback. So I don't know. I don't want to speculate that it's going to go up on Monday. I just want to kind of see how we react. I want to see how it reacts in the futures on Sunday. I could see the possibility, but if the short trade is on, you could see them finishing the job, and the logical areas would be 66. Now that it went to 75, I've had that 66 out there for a while, and I was hoping it hit it before it went up, if you remember. And then obviously the other obvious thing would be if it came down, it's not even a 50% move from here. It's like 30 something. But to back test the old all-time high at $50 roughly as a new support, which was always a resistance for the entire time of history since we've been recording it in our time. So that would be logical. The miners would be logical to come back down. And I know it sounds bad, but like for Hecla, instead of it being back down at $4, this would be a good time for it to retest that $9 or $10 area and use that as the new floor. Obviously, that's a 50 to 60%, 70% drop from here. First Majestic to retest that $7 to $8 area and see if that's a new floor instead of 2 or 3. You know, for Fortuna retesting, you know, the same $3 to $4 area instead of it going down to a sub $2. B2 Gold going back down and retesting the low 3s so that we can make sure it doesn't have to go back down to 230. You know, these are the things that are normal. PLG going all the way back down to $1 if it has to happen, because we're at the support of 262, which I thought we were going to hit regardless. And then if it has all the way to 256 or 254, and MQ is very, very, very vocal about that area, that as long as it stays over. But then if it falls out, I could see it not only coming to $1.83, $1.47, but resetting at $1.03 if it came hard enough. Because now you're telling us now it's $1 finally, because there was a long time in this history for some reason that it was having a hard time staying over $1. So now if $1, actually I would prefer for it to be $1.47, but let's just make sure that the uptrend stays if it comes too far. For PLG and platinum, this is the most volatile, in my opinion, metal. However, if this stays over 254, big breakout back test. So I'm not convinced of anything until I'm convinced. However, we are massively overbought and we're rotating back down. We have to see if we get one more small pullback and then it holds around 68 in the monthly, because that could be an inverted pattern. You know, it's so unbelievably hard to say because of how big the pullback was. What could give you confidence for a pullback and a further push up in metals again to start the week is the fact none of it went to risk on. Risk on dumped and kept dumping. And there's so much liquidity there that could be moved. And yes, you heard that right. XDC has an escrow dump, and it's because of their new upgrade. There's a reason for it. They had a new upgrade yesterday. If you're a part of my Facebook page, you would have seen it before it happened. Because I'm XRP Future Millionaire plus XDC on there, so I do at least 1 to 2 posts a day on XDC. But yeah, they do have an escrow dump on the 5th, I think. But they had an upgrade yesterday. It's not XRP. Why does it show XRP? Why the fuck's it saying XDC? That's so stupid. Escrow, I guess I should have said XDC escrow. Unlock. Who cares about XRP? Problem is, I don't know how true. I don't know how true that was. Because it's hard to find information on it. There's been some stuff going around social media. I haven't shared on it on Facebook because I can't find any real validation on it. If somebody could lead me in the right direction, I'd really appreciate it. Let's see what AI has to say about this, just so I can pull some articles.
Yes, XDC network.
Okay.
Does have a significant
841 million tokens.
According to current tokenomics data.
841 million tokens. So that could be a reason why we're dumping so much too. I mean, that's unbelievable. That's some of the information that I'll share. I didn't know it was actually saying it that easily to find now. 841 million. Interesting. We're gonna have to put that on Facebook after this. That's gonna be the most. That's interesting. So that absolutely validates our concern that if this market wants to rotate, and it absolutely validates the fact that that inverse head and shoulder is probably going to be invalidated if this breaks down 3 cents with that unlock on the 5th. We're probably, that could send us right to 2. That man, that makes 10% more available. Wait a minute. Not 10%. That's like a 20. Wow. XDC doesn't have as many active tokens as XRP, so that's going to hit it different. Ah. Yeah.
Based on current market data for late January 2026, here is the breakdown of the XDC supply and how that upcoming 800 plus million token release on February 5th impacts the ecosystem. Current circulating supply, as of today, January 30th.
So 4.19% increase in their total supply. About 4.2%. So we're going to have a 4. So that would be like the US dollar minting 4.2% of its total supply in quantitative easing. So we're doing quantitative easing now in cryptocurrency. This is how you do quantitative easing. This is bullshit. Quite frankly. This is bullshit when this happens. This is exactly how they lower our value every single time. But guess what? They have to do this. The circulating supply total is going to be 30. What is the total? 38.04 billion. So there's got to be 50% more than what's in the market now. So after the 4.19%, we still have to release 46% more. Which means in theory, we could be 46% overvalued by the time we... That's what's so screwed up about all of this. It is. But I know for the new upgrade, some of these tokens are going away.
Based on the latest data for the upcoming February 5th, 2026 unlock, here is the breakdown of how those tokens...
Oh, this is good. 100% of the specific releases categorized under ecosystem. Oh, wait a minute. Designated for lockup controlled use. Historically, the XDC Foundation and XinFin team do not dump ecosystem tokens onto the open market. Instead, these are typically moved from vesting state to operational wallets. Estimates suggest that less than 10% of these tokens, roughly 84 million XTC, are actually at risk of hitting the secondary market for immediate liquidity. Well, that's big. That's not too bad. But I'm going to go because my son, he's going to want to come out here. It's been an hour and 15 minutes. I appreciate everybody, but I'm going to go from here. XRP, we're looking at $1.56. If $1.58 breaks, that's the triple bottom in the descending triangle. If that breaks, we got some big problems. But yeah, this seems this isn't bad. This is going towards operational uses, so I'm not too worried about that. So, opportunities building, guys. Opportunities building. XDC is my main focus going forward, as you know. I have the triple XH strategy. I have a lot of other opportunities when it gets to where it's going. But XDC, I think, is the diamond in the rough for the next time. So, hope, Mrs. Stott says, you are absolutely correct. I lost my husband of 24 years to suicide, almost 3 years. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I did not know that. And very shortly after Mr. Stott showed up into my life, I had an awesome marriage, but a happier one now. See, you might, that's unbelievable that you were able to. That's awesome. I don't know who you're commenting to. Let me, oh, Nick. They're talking. I'll let you guys talk. But yeah, thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. Don't forget about the classes. If you're interested, on Monday they start. You don't have to be there in real time. There will be an ever-growing database after every single one. Let's not forget to pray for Bearded Viking and Mighty Marcus as he continues to fight the good fight. Don't forget to give thanks to our Lord and Savior, Yahweh, Yeshua, Emmanuel, Lord, Jesus Christ, God Almighty, to lead us in the right direction. And I wish peace and prosperity for all of you. Show love, show grace. And until we do this again, just let it happen. Just let this happen. Let this happen. Don't be the egg to liquidity. Be the real liquidity.